Good morning again from Fresh at Burcott. Well, here we are in August now, and we've had very odd weather this year, and it's been particularly difficult for one of the insects that's most important in our gardens, and that's bees. Now, I don't know if you're aware that there are actually over 240 different types of bees in this country, and of those about 24 are bumblebees. The rest are solitary bees, but we only have one type of honeybee living here. So it's really important that we help the honeybees particularly, because they are suffering. I've seen quite a few bumblebees about on the planetarium in my garden, but not so many honeybees this year, and I think it's very important that we do our bit to try and help them. Gardens in this country are really one of the most important wildlife habitats that we've got, and just planting one extra plant that's good for bees will definitely play its part. You might not think it makes much difference, but it really does. So look for plants that are really going to be helpful to bees. Now, those plants are particularly things like daisy type flowers. Now here you can see this is a lovely echinacea, and we call these flowers composite flowers, because actually, although we look at that and say that's a flower, all of those little sections there and each petal is actually one flower itself. It's all got each of the parts that make up a flower all in each petal and each little segment there. So for a bee visiting here, it's got masses of opportunities to collect nectar, because it can go into every little part of that flower and collect nectar. So it doesn't have to exhaust itself by flying off too far. It can collect lots of nectar in one place. These type of plants here, the verbena, again, lots of little flowers in one area, so it's easy for the bee to collect the pollen, to collect the nectar there. And the reason that they're so important for us is because when they go in to collect nectar, they're gathering pollen on their furry bodies. You can see there on that coreopsis there, you can see the pollen there, so you can imagine as the bee flies in, it's going to get covered in pollen, and then it flies off to the next plant, and it will transfer the pollen into that flower, and so cross-pollination happens and the plant can produce seeds. About 30% of our food crops are reliant on bees pollinating them, so it is very important. Just one flew in there, so it is very important that we do plant things like that. Now, if you have a plant like this is another leucanthemum here. Now, although this is a daisy type flower, there are opportunities there for the bee to visit, but this sort of fluffiness, this doubleness here, is not so easy for the bee to access. So although I'd say yes, that's not too bad, don't plant too many very double plants if you're really wanting to encourage bees, because they don't find it quite so easy to access the pollen there. So things, single daisy type flowers, clusters of flowers. Here's another great plant. This is called a liatris, and you can see these spikes of flower here. You've got lots and lots of clusters of flowers in that small area, so again, really great for the bee to get to, easy for it to access lots of nectar from there. And when you get plants like this is a Rudbeckia here, and the coreopsis that we just looked at earlier, you can see round the centre of the flower you've got this darkened area, and that's actually like a little runway for the bee. They don't see colour in quite the same way as we do, but they will be drawn to that, and they'll know straight away that that's a good place to land and get in and gather the nectar and get the pollen onto them. There you are, there's just a few of the types of plants you could be thinking about planting to help the bees. But there are loads of others. If you need any extra advice, don't hesitate to pop in or give us a ring, drop us an email or whatever. But remember, just planting one extra plant in your garden could make all the difference to help bees survive. So please do think about them when you're choosing your plants.
Action!
Oh my God.